Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to New North Stories. My name is McKenna Takach, and this is a part of a new series we're doing where we're highlighting the people in our church community who are already doing a fantastic job of loving and serving the people around them. We want to be an authentic community of Jesus followers who love and serve people, and the people we're going to be interviewing are already doing just that. Today, I'm here with the one and only AJ Dyer, who has been a part of our New North community for a number of years now, but also is deeply ingrained in an organization called YoungLife. And we're going to talk a little bit about what her ministry is like and also how she loves and serves the kids in the YoungLife community. So AJ, it's so great to be chatting with you today.
You too. Thanks for having me.
So just to start, do you want to give a little bit of background on YoungLife and then also a little bit of background about how you got connected to the ministry?
Yeah. So YoungLife was started in 1941 by a man named Jim Drayburn. And it was started when he was helping the youth pastor. And the youth pastor said, I'm going to take care of these kids that are here in the church, but I want you to go find the kids at the school across the street. And so that's how this ministry was birthed, is outreach is what it is. And so I got introduced to YoungLife when I actually started going in high school. And then once I graduated, I had a friend who said she really wanted to be a leader. And I remember thinking to myself, why would I ever do that? Sounds weird because they're kind of weird. And then I went to Azusa Pacific University. And they somehow got me to become a leader, and I loved it. Just absolutely loved it. And it was actually that year, my freshman year, where my faith became my own through leading YoungLife and serving.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was the progression like for you? So you're a student at APU, and you're, part of YoungLife and leading in YoungLife, but like now it's been years after that. How has that progressed, and what does your ministry look like now?
Yeah, great question. So I was a volunteer leader all through college, and then I went on part-time staff right after I graduated for 1 year, and then I felt God calling me abroad, and I didn't think it was with YoungLife at all, and I thought it was to India. And I pursued this one, opportunity in India, and it ended up not working out. And then there was this ministry. So YoungLife created another organization to go teach English in China. Really, we did the same exact thing as YoungLife. It just needed a different name because YoungLife is a Christian organization. And so I went to China for 3 years. And then I went on full-time staff and started in Burlingame for about 1.5 years. And then moved to San Francisco to do YoungLife.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously, first, the cool thing about your story is every step along the way, you're like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And God ends up changing your heart. That's what it sounds like, which is pretty great. But in terms of kind of where you are right now and what does a day look like for you? And how do you love and serve your students?
Totally. I think anyone who is on YoungLife staff and happens to be watching this is laughing because when someone asks what a day looks like on YoungLife staff, we're like, well, every day is so different. But I think our main focus, especially right now coming out of COVID, is spending time with kids. And so because the past 2 years, give or take, have been such minimal time with them, and minimal time meeting new kids, we're trying to meet as many kids as possible. And so right now we're trying to do half of our hours. So for a full-time staff, we're trying to do 20 hours a week, which is hard to do because you need to somehow be in an official capacity with a school. For example, I'm actually going to start substitute teaching, which I'm really excited about, and I'll get to know tons of kids that way.
Yeah.
And so we just try to be with kids as much as possible. We coach, we volunteer in a classroom, or we sub, or what have you. And then after that, once we develop these relationships, I try to see them one time. Like if I meet them as a sub and I hear there's a game, I'll attend the game and try and find that kid. And then it's in kind of my context, and I have the freedom to invite them to something called YoungLife. And that's where we get to share the gospel with them and have a lot of fun. So
yeah, Young Life is crazy fun. And if anybody is listening to this and has never attended anything that Young Life has done, you're seriously missing out because it is very, very fun and goofy. That's what I think I love about it.
yes, very much so.
I think one of the things, you didn't mention this, but I love Young Life enough where this is one of the reasons that I think it's so effective is it's not just like meeting kids where they are, which is true, but it's also like allowing kids to be kids and giving them freedom to, be themselves in a context, especially, urban San Francisco context where, there's so much societal pressure just put on them. And Young Life does a really good job of kind of scraping that pressure away and being like, no, who do you want to be? Who are you? And yeah, it's just, it's fantastic. So yeah, and I guess like if you were going to have a conversation with someone, in our church who was like, man, I really want to care for, this group of people or my neighbor in this way, like what encouragement would you give them in how to even start doing that? Because I think a lot of us would say, I really want to love the people around me. I want to love my neighbors. I want to love my coworkers. I want to, I want to be there for the people around me. But we don't really know how to do that and what like the practical, how does that work? And so I guess like if you were going to give encouragement to somebody who was there, who was like, I want to do this, but I don't know what a first step looks like, what would you say?
Yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind, so like you said, we go where kids are. And that like very obviously that is the school, right?
Yeah.
Or where they hang out after. And I think that's a great way to start is just be places that they are physically. Because the more you see them, the more they're going to encounter you. And we also, like as Young Life leaders, I try to bring my kids to as much like of my random, like, can you go grocery shopping with me? Or do you want to go Christmas shopping with me? All these just normal day-to-day things where they get to see you in a traffic jam or they get to see you when your car was towed. And so that actually happened. And it's kind of an accountability because I do remember when my car was towed, I was like, I am so mad right now, but this is my first time hanging out with this girl and she ended up helping me. It was really cool. But it just shows them who you really are. And I think we play the long game in Young Life because we do what we say, we earn the right to be heard. And so it's not until we've developed this relationship with them and won their trust. It's like, I am there for you. I'm going to you. And that's when they start asking questions and they start opening up to us and we're just wondering what is different about us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And playing the long game, I think we're so used to instant gratification. And I don't think that's actually a new thing. People talk about how, our culture is so, we want things instantly and, you can blame the internet or whatever you want on that. But really, I think people want results fast and they want to see things fast. And I think playing the long game with people, I think ultimately, like the goal in Young Life, at least from what I've experienced and seen, is not we want to convert as many people or we want X number of people to come to know Jesus. Obviously, that's like a byproduct of it. But it's we want to meet kids where they are and love them and let God do his thing in, basically transforming people. And that's just fantastic. So one last question. How has loving and serving these kids through Young Life changed you and your faith?
It's a great question. I remember when you sent it to me, I had to think about it because I think there are so many ways. I think I have been completely transformed by it because I think the reason I came to know Jesus when I started serving was because when you serve, it creates this innate accountability. And you can only serve with so little integrity. And I think it just started bringing up all these questions for me. And that's why I was like, this is worth my life. And so, I mean, my trajectory completely changed after that year because of that. Like if I wasn't, I mean, you know, God would have done something, but I think if I didn't join YoungLife, I just would have been a very different person today. And so, yeah, I think it's just a complete 9-day difference. And I'm so thankful for that transformation that I've experienced.
That's awesome. I mean, I think, yeah, so much of caring for other people, we think of it like we're giving. And I think so much of the time God uses that to do the real deep inner work in us. And I love what you said about integrity because, I mean, even especially with kids, right? They can tell a phony from a mile away. And so you got to be real. You got to be real or else you are in big trouble. And, but yeah, that's fantastic. And I think it's just a really good reminder for me too that, you know, that loving and serving other people, even outside of your immediate circle, the people that you have to like reach out to be able to care for, it's when God does big things in you too. So, yeah. Well, thanks for being with us, AJ. And thank you for all for tuning in. Again, I'm McKenna, and I hope this was an encouragement to you. We're going to be doing a bunch of these conversations where we're going to be talking to people who have a whole wide range of experiences. So you can either follow along by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Spotify. Everything will be available on both of those channels. And if we don't hear from you, we would love to see you on Sundays at our Brotherhood Way location.